All right, welcome to another edition of the Realest in Boxing podcast, brought to you by Everybody Loves Sports and the World of Sports Network. I'm Joe Habib, aka the Beeb, and this is Cisco the Realist. Got a lot to talk about this week. As everyone knows, Gennady Golovkin versus Vanes Martirosyan is set for May 5th, and it's not going to be in Vegas. It's going to be at the StubHub Center in California because they were the ones that accepted the opponent. Keith Thurman vacates the WBC welterweight title, but some people don't think he actually vacated. It was more or less as if when you have a job and you get fired in lieu of termination, or you quit in lieu of termination. A lot of people are kind of thinking this is a similar situation here where he was probably going to get stripped anyway. And the WBA, they're ordering Erislandy Lara versus Lara-Hurd 2, which was a great fight, the first fight. I wanted to see Jamel Charlo, but we may get Lara instead. I'm not complaining. I still don't think that's a bad fight. WBC also another power move here, head scratching move kind of, is Dillian White versus Luis Ortiz was ordered as an eliminator. But Dillian White was the number one contender. But hey, lo and behold, WBC does a lot of weird, bizarre things, and this is what nothing short of a weird and crazy thing that they've done this time. They're known for doing stuff like this anyway. So, and the big $50 million offer from Team Wilder to Team Joshua, is this legit? Will Joshua accept? They're supposed to meet today, Team Joshua and Team Wilder. They're supposed to talk it out. We'll see what happens. Big fight tomorrow, Danny Jacobs versus Macha Sulecki. Interesting matchup. On the undercard of that, Gerald Miller versus Joan Duhaupas. Pretty decent fight. Could Gerald Miller be an eventual opponent for Anthony Joshua? We'll see if the Wilder fight falls through. This could be a interesting matchup to see how Miller looks and how we can gauge this performance to see how we do against maybe Anthony Joshua. We'll see. And Canelo takes a hair follicle test and he passes it. So does this wipe everything clean? Is Canelo innocent? Supposedly, this is a type of test that can trace PED usage, in particular clenbuterol, back 2 months. We'll see. Let's get started. Gennady Golovkin versus Vanes Martirosyan. What do you think of this fight? A lot of people aren't really, really happy about this fight. I, for one, I understand that he's not gonna just jump into a tough fight on short notice, but did he really have to go through with this May 5th date? Could he have waited a couple months and maybe got a better opponent? He's got that IBF mandatory coming up as well. Should he have waited and possibly fought the mandatory and then, went for a Canelo fight in September? What are your thoughts on this? Because I can kind of see both sides of it, but it is what it is. I'm just not excited about the fight.
I just don't understand why he was so pushy on taking the fight. And the question is, how active is Martirosyan? I mean, he has not fight in a long time. Like, this opponent is not gonna give. No, he's gonna do is take more criticism from this opponent, like you mentioned before.
Yeah.
Why not taking why not taking a sparring session with a guy?
Yeah.
Why not go on and take a sparring session with a guy? I just don't see how this fight is going to benefit him or like Martirosyan. How this fight, because if anything, this fight is gonna make him look. He trained for Canelo, not for Martirosyan. So if anything, that fight he might not look the same.
Yeah.
In this fight. So
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think, and I don't think it's a good fight, but I understand that he tried to stay active, and then his main thing is staying active. And when you have, then he's doing it right because he have multiple belts. So I mean, in that sense, he's doing it right. But why not wait a couple of months and fight a better opponent like Jacobs, pretty much, or even Billy Joe Sanders? Like, if he wants to be known as the greatest middleweight, he have to fight the challenging, the guy that could actually be a threat to take away his kingdom, like take away his crown.
Yeah. And the big thing with me is you're a world champion, and you got to defend those titles. So if you can defend those titles, you defend them against worthy challenges. And no disrespect to Vanes Martirosyan, but like you said, he's been off 2 years. Yeah, he was ranked or is ranked #1 by the WBC, but why should that thrust him to the top of the line at middleweight? When was the last time Martirosyan fought at middleweight? I mean, he's been campaigning at junior middleweight, and he's come up short against all the big opponents, the tough fights for titles down there. He's never been able to win a title down at 154. So what makes us think, or what should make us think, that he can go up to 160 and beat a guy like Gennady Golovkin? I mean, his type of style really doesn't present any difficult challenge for Gennady Golovkin, and I just can't see any conceivable way Vanes Martirosyan wins this fight. I mean, Gennady Golovkin would have to trip on his way to the ring and split his head open. That's the only way I can see Vanes Martirosyan winning this fight, to be a little bit blunt about it. But like I said, a lot of hypocrisy. Way back when it was so important for Team Golovkin, they were putting out this narrative, yeah, we want to unify titles. That's our main goal. But they didn't follow through with that promise and that main goal. They went ahead and went for the money, which is okay, but just say you're going to go for the money. You wanted the Canelo fight, we understand that. Now Canelo fails the drug test. Instead of fighting somewhat decent, then you're just going to go into a fight like this with Martirosyan, and then you're going to go and fight Canelo again. So the whole goal of unifying the title was really just a false narrative to put out there, just to kind of avoid other fights. Erislandy Lara called you out, and you avoided him. Andre Ward would have been a good fight. The Charlos are now calling you out. So we'll see what happens. If he beats Martirosyan, then he goes and beats Canelo, and he doesn't fight a Jamal Charlo, a Jamal Charlo, I should say, excuse me. He doesn't fight a Jamal Charlo, doesn't go and try and make a Billy Joe Saunders fight, doesn't try to make a Danny Jacobs rematch, then we're going to have to start, questioning him even more. But at the end of the day, I think this date was not important to hold on to. He's not Mexican, so for him to just base it off it's a Mexican holiday, I want to hold on to that date. I understand you want to stay sharp, but that's what the gym's for. Go back into training camp, do some light sparring, whatever, because you're going to go out there, and this guy's really not going to offer up too much. I just don't see it. I just think style-wise, this is a horrible matchup for Martirosyan. I don't see this being the least bit remotely competitive at all. And I think Golovkin's going to have a real field day against Martirosyan. And I don't know. I'm just not excited about watching it. And I would, unless you gave me a ticket, I would not pay to go see this fight live. Absolutely not.
What I think is, like, if Martirosyan lose, he's gonna get a bypass. And if Golovkin win, he's gonna get criticized. And if he was to lose, that's even will be worse. I just don't see how this match makes sense.
It's a no-win situation.
It's a no-win situation. He's gonna get. I would have respect if he would have taken a serious opponent. What was the name of? Wait a minute. What's the name of the opponent? The mandatory that they wanted him to fight.
Derevyanchenko. Yeah.
Take someone like him. Wait a month, and take someone like him. Wait 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And then fight him. But like I want to see him fight the tough opposition after Canelo. Yeah. Even this is the thing about Golovkin too. We give him a lot of credit, but let's remember one thing. He was calling Canelo out when Canelo was at 154, and then he was a middleweight.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
He was calling Canelo out.
That's true.
When he was he was calling the smaller guy out.
Yeah.
While all the smaller guys were calling him out. He also fought Kell Brooks from 147, made him go up to 160. Let's not forget about that.
Yeah.
Like Golovkin, people are gonna say, "Oh no, but nobody wanted to fight, so he had no choice." No, they are more people there. Yeah. They are more middleweight. They are. He kept calling out like Floyd Mayweather. They are more people there. But he didn't go up when Andre Ward was calling him out.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just don't understand.
I mean, the only real middleweight that you can really say that he fought and beat was Danny Jacobs, and that was disputed. That was arguable. And the funny thing too with Canelo is he never, he waited to see Golovkin kind of slip a little bit before he finally accepted the fight. So it's a different situation. It's not like this Joshua Wilder situation where you have two guys who are both in their prime and are really the two best fighters in the division. It's not the same situation. We'll talk about that later, but it is what it is. Another move that's kind of weird that happened here was Keith Thurman vacating the title. But an interesting side note here is Danny Garcia.
Before we go there,
well, let me just finish the point here. Danny Garcia's father, Angel Garcia, came out and said that he didn't really vacate. He was probably going to get stripped anyway. So that's why, he vacated. So it's almost like he's suggesting that the WBC said, yeah, we're getting ready to strip you. We'll give you the, if you want to vacate and kind of save face a little bit so it doesn't look so bad. Because the WBA didn't strip him. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, like, why would he just voluntarily give up a title if if they weren't really having discussions saying to him, we're going to have to strip you if you don't fight such and such on such and such date. And then, Angel Garcia, Danny Garcia's father and trainer, kind of pointed that out. And I think there's a little bit of possible truth to that. I just seems kind of odd that out of the blue, you're just going to vacate your title. And you're going to, show a good faith, make a good faith move here. Like, just out of the blue, just a random good faith move here because you think it's the right thing to do. So if that's the case, then why don't you just vacate your WBA title as well? So if that's the case, I mean, that, you'd have to show some consistency there and just vacate both titles instead of just one of them. So that doesn't make sense to me. I think it's a little kind of bizarre that he just decided to vacate out of the blue. And I think Angel Garcia may have a point there. What do you think?
Well, you know how I feel about a champion not defending his title for years. I mean, when was the last time Keith Thurman was in the ring?
He's been out of the ring about 14 months.
14 months, yeah. Right? That's a long time for somebody. Like boxing should be more consistent. There should be more consistency and the championship and the belt.
Yeah.
Who has the belt and for how long?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree.
I mean, it's not okay for somebody to have the belt for years and not defend it. It's ridiculous. I mean, they should fight the people. And then one thing is this. The people in the ranking in the top 10, you should be fighting those guys and defending your title, not getting legitimate opponent too. It's not about that. I mean, he was gonna get stripped from the belt because people were already complaining, and he knew that. So for him, since the WBA haven't said anything, that's why he has not vacated. So he knew something was coming.
Yeah.
It is obvious that something was coming.
So you think it's safe to say that possibly the WBC was in the process of getting ready to strip him, and he just vacated before that happened?
Of course.
I think that makes sense, right?
Of course. They are sick of him. This man is not fighting. This man is doing is talking trash, saying who he can be.
Yeah.
Saying, I can be this guy or I will be this guy, but when are you coming back? Whenever they mention the name Eric Spence, something goes wrong with his comeback.
Yeah.
Like whenever they mention, now I'm about to make a comeback. Whenever they say Eric Spence, something goes wrong with Keith Thurman.
Yeah. So now it looks like they're going to try and put together Danny Garcia versus Sean Porter for the vacant title. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if that fight gets on. You get ready to make a point before we switch topics. What were you getting ready to say?
Well, I'm pretty sure people that watched us, they also want to know the fight of last weekend, Jesse Vargas versus Broner.
Yeah, I mean, if we could talk about that a little bit. What were your thoughts on that? How'd you score the fight? And you think the draw was fair?
The draw, this is what I think about the draw. Adrian Broner puts people on the seat. He's entertaining in the way that he's controversial, and people want to see him lose.
Yeah.
They don't want to see him lose because he's good. They want to see him lose because he talks too much.
Yes.
They just want him to find somebody that actually shut him up.
Yeah.
So, given the situation that he did better than expected, I think they found room to give him the draw, not to jeopardize his career. Do I think they're gonna fight right away? No.
No.
This rematch will not be immediately. There is no reason. This rematch might not happen. This rematch must be one of the rematch. You remember when Peterson fought Victor Ortiz?
Yeah.
That was a draw.
Yeah.
They never had a rematch.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna be like one of those rematch that just go like Chavez Whitaker, like one of those rematch that never happened. One of those draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a draw that might never happen. I honestly, I saw Jesse winning the fight.
Yeah, me too. I had it close. I'm not gonna lie. I had it close. I had it 7-5 in rounds, but
it was 7. It was close in the number of rounds, but not in the work that Jesse actually did. Not like Broner won 5 rounds, but Jesse was the most complete fighter.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Jesse. You know what shocked me about the fight? The compibacks number. They were ridiculous. Yeah. There's no way that Jesse missed so many punches.
I didn't think so, no. He landed a ton of jabs.
Jesse landed a ton of jabs, but then stuff to the body. I had a 7-5 for Jesse. I thought Jesse pressed the action from the beginning. I thought Jesse went to fight. And Broner, as Broner was walking him down, he looked, and then Broner was picking his shot, being more conservative and trying to land quality shot.
Yep.
And that's sometimes in a situation like that, it looked like the other guy is being dominated, but the other guy is more busier.
Yeah.
And you know what impressed me the most about this fight, to be honest with you? The trainer.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That was the most entertaining part of the fight. When the trainer kept screaming at him.
He was motivated. He was trying to motivate him, and I think he got to him a little bit.
And he got to him a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, got him going. Here's the thing. I think a draw is not impossible, but I would think that you'd have to really give Adrian Broner the benefit of the doubt and give him a good amount of the swing rounds. I had it 7-5 in rounds. A lot of people did give Broner the 11th and the 12th. I gave Vargas the 11th. Was it impossible to give Broner the 11th? No. Could you have come to a draw? Yeah. But at the end of the day, everyone's, talking like, wow, Broner is back. Broner did great. Broner did let his hands go. But he only got a draw, guys. He didn't win the fight. So you have to say
you got to give.
When it comes down to a guy getting a draw, and that's looked upon almost as a win, then it's pretty tough. Jesse Vargas is not a big puncher, and I think that was part of the problem. I think Jesse Vargas did land a lot of shots, but I think Broner was getting confidence as the fight wore on because, hey, I can take these shots. So once he started feeling that he could take the shots, that's when he started coming forward a little bit, and he started becoming more aggressive. But what happens if other fighters are still landing those shots and he's not handling them as well as he handled the ones against Vargas? He still got hit a lot in the first half of the fight. I think that he still didn't really move very well. He was right there to be hit, like I said. Obviously, he didn't throw a ton of punches, but he did land some good power shots. But he may have stunned Jesse a little bit. Obviously, he busted up his face, but did you ever see Jesse stagger? Did you ever see Jesse stop? Jesse got a little tired, yeah, because he's not a guy that throws a ton of punches. Jesse's not a really overly economic guy, but he's not normally that whirlwind that we saw last week. He threw a lot of punches, and I think he got tired from that. And also, Broner did put some pressure on him in the second half of the fight, so that could have slowed him down a little bit. But Jesse was landing really solid body shots. But credit Broner. He did take them, and he landed some good shots in the second half of the fight, some clean shots. But you have to ask yourself, I think Vargas won at least 5 of those first 6 rounds. And, if you could argue that maybe Broner won 5 of the last 6, but I think maybe 4. I thought Vargas arguably could have at least won 2 of those.
That 12th round could have gone to any of the fight.
Yeah, the 12th round was close. 11th
the 12th round could have gone to any of the fight.
In other words, the first 6 rounds, the 5 rounds that Jesse won, he clearly won. Whereas a lot of the second, like maybe Broner won 7, 8, or maybe, 8, 9, and 10 were probably clear Broner rounds, I would say. And I think rounds 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6 were clear Vargas rounds. So if one guy has 3 clear rounds and the other guy has, 6 clear rounds or 5 clear rounds, then you'd have to give Broner every swing round to come to that draw, which I didn't do. I gave him some of the swing rounds, but not all of them. So I think if you had to really pick a winner in this fight, if you were hard pressed, you'd have to say Vargas won. I mean, I don't know, maybe you could give it to Broner 7-5, but you'd have to really, really give him almost every ounce of benefit of the doubt that you could to come to that conclusion, in my opinion.
But look who gave Broner that decision.
Yeah.
Letterman.
Julie Letterman, yeah.
I mean,
the apple does not fall far from the tree, does it? Yeah.
I mean,
we've both never been fans of Harold Letterman or Julie Letterman as judges.
Jesse, one thing that Jesse didn't do right, Jesse stopped throwing those overhand, and that's his best weapon.
Yeah.
And I don't know what. I mean, but remember one thing too. For Jesse in this fight, that conditioning was a little problem. He didn't have enough time to, because Figueroa was the one that was supposed to fight Broner, right?
Yeah.
Right. So Jesse was like sort of last minute. Jesse didn't have
kind of, yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, but Jesse is a fighter that I feel like he's getting better.
Yeah.
In every fight, maybe in that fight,
he's solid. He's always been a solid fighter.
What I didn't see from him was like that conditioning. He usually don't get that tired.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think he threw more punches than normal. I thought that because he felt as though Broner was allowing him to throw and not throwing back, that he felt comfortable throwing a lot of punches, and that's why I think he did. But it is what it is. I don't think we'll see a rematch. I think they're talking about now Broner possibly facing Amir Khan, which would be a great money fight. That would be a great build-up. I think it would be very interesting. I would favor Khan, obviously, but Khan does have that chin problem. But Broner really doesn't possess that one punch knockout power at 147, even though he did drop Sean Porter in the 12th round, and he did hurt Maidana a little bit later in the fight, but he hasn't shown the ability to get these guys out of at 147. So let's see how he could do against Amir Khan with that suspect chin.
Against Amir Khan, I feel he could whack Amir Khan down.
Amir Khan moves very well, though. He's quick on his feet, so he'd have to really step on the gas to get to Amir Khan and track him down. So that would be interesting. But who knows?
But he likes to. Amir Khan move, but sometimes Amir Khan also
likes to slug. Yeah, he likes to get in the pocket. Yeah,
he actually
he could get brave. He tried to get brave against Maidana, and Maidana caught him. So we'll see.
He liked to get brave, like people thinking, oh, and he's there fighting. So I mean, it will be an interesting fight. I just don't know. And look, and now in every fight, Broner is in jeopardy of his career being over. It's like he's like 1 fight away from being.
Yeah, his back's been up against the wall for the last 3 years, right?
Yeah.
But they keep bringing him back. He does good ratings. I guess he's good for TV, right? But here's a fight that doesn't really come as too much of a surprise. WBA ordering Lara-Hurd 2. I know that's a fight that you're excited about. You like the first fight a lot, and you were really hoping to get a rematch. I don't mind the fight. I don't mind the fight at all. I think it was a great fight the first time around. I don't see how it could not be a great fight the second time around. These two guys just have, the types of styles that mesh well. Could Lara move more? Could Lara fight less aggressive? Will he fight differently in the rematch? Possibly, but will Hurd allow him to fight differently? That's another question. Who knows? Who knows? It's still up to debate whether Lara fought the fight that was beneficial to Hurd, or Hurd first forced him to fight that fight. You can make an argument either way. who's right, who's wrong doesn't really matter. It is what it is. It happened. And the only way to decide if Lara could do different things in a rematch would be to fight the rematch. And WBA is ordering it, and I don't see Hurd vacating the title. I know they talked about, or Hurd talked about wanting to fight Jermell Charlo and unify the title. That still could be on the table if he beats Lara, but if Lara beats Hurd, will he want to go ahead and fight Jermell Charlo? Possibly. I mean, he's not in the Ronnie Shields camp anymore, so I guess they could still, have a matchup that way. But I don't hate the fight. I'm surprised the WBA did order a rematch because there's been many close fights before, and sanctioning bodies haven't ordered immediate rematches. But I can't argue with this. The fight was really razor close, and Lara does deserve a rematch, and I'm not unhappy that he's getting it.
Fight of the year. Mm-hmm. This is the fight of the year. Like people, they think they can see a great show, but I would have loved for her to fight Charlo, and then the rematch happens for all of the title. Yeah, like them facing each other for all of the title, and then Lara gets a shot at all of the title. I didn't like that rematch right away because I thought it was too soon.
Yeah,
for both fighters. Yeah, not only for Lara but also for her. I mean, more for Lara in a little bit because it was like a war.
Yeah,
and like
it was a tough fight, right?
Yeah, and like her recovery is a little faster than Lara. Like Lara, he's a little older now. We don't know if because the thing about Lara in this case is this: we don't know if it was the style of fight that he fought or that her made him fight.
Yeah, like I said,
that made him look like he lost a step.
Yeah,
we don't know that.
Yeah,
because no, we don't know if it's that level of competition that is making him look like he lost a step. Because and that's the thing. Like we don't know if he's losing it. We don't know if he's getting old. But some people get old for being in war, and some people get old not being active enough. Yeah. Lara will be a combination of both because he's not active enough fighting, and he's getting older.
Yeah.
So I just don't. I don't mind the rematch, but when will the rematch take place?
Oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. What the
December.
Yeah, usually when they order a fight to happen, it usually has to get done. It usually has to get done within a 6-month period. So what is it now? We're in April. So maybe November, December, it'll probably have to get done by. So we'll see what happens. But I like I said, I don't hate the fight. I'm just surprised that the WBA stepped in and ordered this. But
let me ask you something. What was Charlo all about? Like, I'm fighting either of these guys next, and then next day he announced that he's fighting Austin Trout. Like, I didn't get that. Like, where was it already? Did he already have the Austin Trout fight scheduled? It was just that it was not announced. How that happen?
Well, maybe he wanted to get a fight in before he was to fight Hurd instead of just waiting and not having that in-between fight. So maybe he just wanted to have that in-between fight just to kind of stay sharp. Some of these guys, they like to fight as much as they can. Others don't. I mean, I think the Charlos really want to fight a lot. I think if it was up to them, they would fight 3-4 times a year if they could. So I think it just depends on the fighter and how active he wants to be, because if obviously if he was to fight Hurd's not going to be ready to go right away. He'd have to take some time off because he just fought. So I think this may work out well where Charlo could get this Trout fight in, and then he would be ready for the winner. But now he's gonna have to wait a little bit longer to get the unification fight now, because if Hurd and Lara is going to probably have to take place. So it is what it is, right?
So how do you see him against Trout? Because Trout gave the other one problem.
Yeah.
Trout gave the other one problem. Who's punch harder? Who is the tougher fighter?
But then, some time's gone by and Trout got
older,
slowed down a little, even more. Took a bad beat, took a pretty bad beating against Hurd too. So will he have lost just enough to make this fight non-competitive? Will he have enough skill and will he be able to rely on his experience and his craftiness to kind of make this fight somewhat competitive. Who knows? Who knows? But I kind of think Charlo will get an impressive victory. He may stop Trout too.
Okay.
I think it's possible.
So Austin Trout career is pretty much done.
Yeah. I'm surprised he got the fight, but I don't. But good for him. He's a good guy. He's a always comes to fight, always comes in shape, never makes excuses when he loses. Not really a big trash talker. So if he is on his way out, at least he gets another shot at the title, and it's a pretty decent payday for him. Now the WBC and their never-ending string of eliminators and final eliminators have ordered another eliminator for the heavyweight title, WBC heavyweight title, and that's between Dillian Whyte and Luis Ortiz. Now, Dillian Whyte is the WBC silver heavyweight champion. He was supposedly, the mandatory challenger for the WBC heavyweight title. That's what we all thought. That's what we were all told. But now we got thrown another curveball, and now we have Dillian Whyte versus Luis Ortiz. So I guess Deontay Wilder is getting somewhat what he wants here. He said, if Dillian Whyte wants to fight me, then let him fight Luis Ortiz first and beat him, and then I'll give him a shot. So some people are saying that Deontay Wilder had some type of influence over the WBC. I don't think he's got that much stroke, but let's be honest though. Dillian Whyte really has not beaten a top guy, and with all due respect to Lucas Brown, I thought Lucas Brown was going to be better than he showed, but I was probably like the only one. Everyone else really thought that Lucas Brown was going to lose. We may not have thought he was going to get knocked out like that, but I was in the minority. I was like one of the only people, that thought Lucas Brown could win. So if you're gonna, if your greatest claim to fame is getting knocked out by Anthony Joshua and hurting him in one of the rounds, then okay. And then the next greatest claim to fame is being Lucas Brown. If you beat a guy like Luis Ortiz, then no one can deny you. No one can deny you. And I think the winner of that fight would definitely be lined up to fight whoever holds that WBC title, if whether or not if Joshua and Wilder end up fighting, whoever has that WBC title, the winner of this Dillian Whyte Luis Ortiz fight definitely deserves a shot, and probably most likely will get a shot. So, it is what it is.
I would have loved to see Luis Ortiz being at least 5 years younger, because if he would have been at least 5 years younger, he will be a threat to be the king.
Yeah.
If he was a little bit.
I look at Luis Ortiz right now as the third best heavyweight in the world. I honestly do. I think he can beat Joseph Parker, but again, that's totally open to debate. I think he could beat Alexander Povetkin. I think Luis Ortiz is an extremely skilled boxer. He's very crafty, but one other thing that is a great asset to have in this division is he can punch. He can hurt you. He can get you out of there. So you have a great combination of not only being a great boxer, a very skilled boxer, a very crafty boxer, but you got, another weapon in the tool chest, which is having the power.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing Luis Ortiz fighting Deontay Wilder again. I mean, Deontay Wilder gave Esther Byrne the rematch.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to Esther Byrne, but Luis Ortiz was actually a threat to be Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, he almost had him out of there in the 7th round. That was,
and then everyone
was on the edge of the seat for that one.
And then if he would have gone to the scorecard, would he have won the fight?
Judges didn't see it the way I saw it, or probably you saw it. So it was kind of effed up, right?
The best thing that happened to him was getting knocked out, right?
Yeah.
In that fight. Yeah. Because then it would have been like, okay, how did the judges get it?
They would have robbed him,
Yeah, they would have robbed him. So
wow.
The best thing that would have been
that sucks.
So I mean, why is in a tough predicament here, Dillian Whyte? Having to fight Luis Ortiz.
Well, who do you think wins that fight? Dillian Whyte versus Luis Ortiz. I'm picking Ortiz in that one.
Luis Ortiz will win the fight. Yeah. He if he hurt him, he might even finish him.
Yeah. Because Dillian Whyte's not hard to find.
Dillian Whyte is not, and Ortiz is very active.
Yeah.
Age is the factor.
Yeah.
Like right now, we don't know about Ortiz because of
Yeah.
the age. We don't know how much the Wilder fight affect Ortiz,
Yeah.
so that remains to be
Ortiz
seen.
is a very, very tricky character in there, man. He's tough to deal with, man. He hits you with those sneaky punches you don't see. He lulls you in like a snake charmer, and boom, snakes you in there with that sneaky left hand. And he's got a good right hook too. He's a very well-rounded guy. He's got a lot of weapons, and he's got a lot of ways to hurt you, a lot of ways to win fights, and he's a tough out for anybody. I'm really high on Luis Ortiz.
Him and Joe Park are very
Joe Parker's good.
tough. They tough too. They tricky fighter.
Joe Parker's good, but he's been showing us a lot of off nights too. Andy Ruiz arguably could have gotten the decision in that fight. Takum. Some people thought Takum beat him too. So
in the Joshua fight, he didn't do enough.
He really looked. It's funny because the best he's ever looked was in that Joshua fight,
but he didn't look good.
But
either.
Yeah, but if that's the best, then if the best you ever looked has you winning four rounds out of 12, then that's okay. I mean, there's no shame in that, but you still come up short, and you still clearly lost the fight. So it is what it is. Now let's talk about the big story this week: the $50 million offer that Deontay Wilder and his team made to Team Joshua. Now, a lot of people are saying, this is a BS offer. Why all of a sudden, when Deontay Wilder is making $2 million a fight, or 1.3, whatever the case may be, highest pay being 2.1, why didn't they come up with this $50 million for Deontay Wilder? Why wasn't he able to get this money and have them pay him this type of money? My response to that is, well, because he never was in position to fight a guy like Anthony Joshua who can generate a lot of revenue. He's never been in this big money fight situation where you have two guys who are the two best in the division, where all the titles can be unified. A lot of people are excited about this, and apparently, someone or some group of people are excited enough to help raise up this $50 million, because we know Al Heyman. We know what he's been able to do in the past. We've seen him muster up a lot of cash for his fighters. A lot of Al Heyman fighters get these big paydays that they never received before fighting for anyone else or fighting under anyone else. We all saw the big PBC deal. He was able to get the hedge fund Waddell and Reed to invest $500 million in PBC. We saw him secure two $100 million guarantees for Floyd Mayweather. So this guy has a way of convincing people to believe in and invest in his projects. And for people to totally dismiss the fact that he would not be able to raise $50 million or get a group of people or a person or a company or investors or Vegas casino, anybody, to just totally dismiss the fact that, or the notion that this man could raise $50 million and put it up and put it up front and get a letter of credit and show proof of funds for $50 million, to totally discredit that and totally disavow that based on this man's resume, based on this man's history, what he's been able to do. I don't think you've been paying attention if you're going to totally dismiss that, and then people say, well, why now? Why? The whole argument against Deontay Wilder is the why now argument. Why all of a sudden did he finally get that tough fight after 39 fights? Why all of a sudden does he want to unify after having 40 fights? Why all of a sudden now they come up with $50 million? Let me ask you this. If you had a friend that was an alcoholic for 20 years, right? And then he comes to you and says, you know what? Last 6 months, I've been clean. Are you going to say to that guy, well, why did you wait so long to stop drinking? Or are you going to say, you know what? That's great, buddy. Congratulations. So all the Deontay Wilder detractors are saying, why now? Why now? Instead of saying better late than never. That's my whole take on it. Better late than never. I mean, it's a good thing to get a big fight like this, 2 heavyweights in their prime for all the marbles. And because it didn't happen 5 years ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, does it really matter? I know we don't like to wait for things, but sometimes you have to wait for things. So
let me ask you this.
It is what it is. I mean, does that mean that all of a sudden, because this didn't happen when we wanted it to happen, that it's not significant, that it's not a substantial, awesome fight, and people aren't going to be happy about it? I just think it's ridiculous that these detractors are complaining and saying, why all of a sudden now? As looking at as to put a negative and put a damper on this whole situation.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so uncalled for, because where was the heavyweight division 5 years ago?
Yeah.
When he was making a name for himself.
Yeah.
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Where was Anthony Joshua? Barely in the game, coming into the game.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua was not the same fighter 6 years ago that he is now.
Yeah.
The fight would not matter. It's not like we're saying why Holyfield ended up fighting Tyson now. You see? Why Holyfield didn't want to fight Tyson in the beginning? Why he didn't fight Tyson before Tyson went to jail?
Yeah.
Why Don King didn't went through that contract when they signed to fight, and then the fight didn't happen before Tyson went to jail? It's ridiculous. They fight it now because now is the best opportunity. They was not a heavyweight right there that presented this opportunity. Klitschko was still in the game, but Klitschko didn't want no part of Deontay Wilder. Klitschko didn't want that. Klitschko could have fought him, but he didn't want to fight him. I mean, they were different type of action. Like Klitschko was interested in other things. Klitschko fought Jennings, didn't fight Deontay Wilder. It's ridiculous. Listen, Al Heyman, people hear about Al Heyman now, but Al Heyman is a businessman. You saw what he did with the singer?
Yeah.
With her Naria?
Yeah.
Whitney Houston?
Yeah.
I mean, didn't he made her look like she was the greatest thing that ever lived?
Yeah.
I mean, Al Heyman.
Guy knows what he's doing. I mean,
Al Heyman know what he's doing. Al Heyman know what he's doing. Like, people think, oh, he's an advisor. No, he's a businessman. He's a businessman, and sometimes it's better than being a promoter because he could work with a promoter. So, I mean, he doesn't really need to be there. He knows how to generate money and how to put events together. He has put the most important events in the history of the game have been put by him, in all kinds of business, not only in boxing. So the money, he can get the money. He can get the money. He can find the people to invest. So this is not new to us. Now you surprised that now you surprised?
I'm not surprised at all. I'm not.
Was he gonna let Hearns show that he got no power? No. Because what are you talking about? Is Eddie Hearn gonna ever be able to put something like Mayweather Pacquiao?
Not in the UK.
Or McGregor Mayweather.
No.
I mean, I just don't.
Or even Canelo Mayweather.
Or even Canelo Mayweather. Like, is Hearn gonna be able to get? Can Hearn get Joshua guaranteed $70 million?
No. Here's the thing, though. And again, people are gonna say, Beeb, now you're being inconsistent, you're being a hypocrite, you're going back and forth. But here's the thing. If this fight was a UK fight, and maybe Showtime just paid a couple million for the rights to broadcast it on Showtime, does this fight do $100 million under those conditions? No, because you have a UK 90,000 seat arena, stadium, whatever you want to call it. But when you sell out a 90,000 seat stadium in the UK, you generate 12 million, 11.5, 12 million, 13 million, maybe if you jack up the prices. You put a fight in Vegas, Floyd Mayweather in Canelo. Look what the revenue, look at the live gate that was. Even Triple G in Canelo, $27 million live gate with 16,000 seats. So you throw this in a Vegas casino. The Vegas casino gives you a nice sizable site fee. The tickets will be through the roof. A lot of the high rollers, a lot of celebrities are going to buy them high price tickets, right? And you put it on pay-per-view. Yeah, it's a risk. It's a huge risk. But I think if it's promoted right, I think on US pay-per-view, Showtime pay-per-view, I think that it's not out of the realm of possibility that they can get at least 500,000 pay-per-view buys out of it at $80 a pop. That's 40 million right there. So you say, be a little conservative. We got 40 million pay-per-views right there. You got 25 million with the Vegas gate. I think it's realistic to think that they could get 15 to 16,000 people in a Vegas arena, whether it be MG, the
MGM Grand.
Yeah, it could be MGM Grand or whatever. It could be it's the other arena there in Vegas. There, Thomas and Mack, whatever. Where did Canelo and Golovkin fight?
T-Mobile.
T-Mobile. Oh yeah, T-Mobile arena. Thank you. Drew a blank there. Sorry. To sit there and think that they can't sell 16,000 seats in one of those arenas at really high ticket prices and people won't buy them, and to think that maybe 500,000 pay-per-view buys is out of the realm of possibility. So then you got 25 from the venue, you got another 40 for the 40 million for the pay-per-view. That's 65 million there, and then you got Sky, and you got the UK pay-per-view. Very, very easily you could do 1.5 at 28.51 a pop. There's another 42, 43 million on top of that, right? So it's totally possible if Showtime really gets involved, like Showtime got involved with Maypac. They really were involved in that. CBS came into play there. So if there's something like that going on behind the scenes right now, and they really promote this well, will it do 100 million? That's still a tough. It's reachable, but it still would be tough. But at the very least, this fight with U.S. pay-per-view involvement and with the Vegas casino could be an $80 million fight. So you give Joshua that 50 guarantee. There's still a lot of money left over. You know what I'm saying? So
how would the split go now that they're giving?
Well, if Joshua said that, hey, you know what? If they give me $50 million, then I'll go 50-50 with them. That's what he said. So they're going to hold him true to his word.
Okay.
So they're going to hold him true to his word.
So now we can speculate that Deontay Wilder was told not to take the offer, right? In the beginning,
the 12-5, yeah.
The 12-5. Like now we were talking about like people that were calling Deontay Wilder idiots for not taking the offer, that he should take the offer. Now it looked like Deontay Wilder knew all along that there was something better. And now we really don't have any excuses. Now the fight should be made. If this is real, the fight need to happen. Right?
This whole thing is a gamble. It really is. But it's a calculated risk. And I think it's a calculated risk that will pay off. And I'll tell you why. You could sit there and break it down like, okay, Joshua's never been on American pay-per-view. He's never fought in the U.S. before. He's not known in the U.S. Deontay Wilder is not a big name. You could say all those things. But sometimes when you just put two people together, it just works. This could be one. This to me is that situation. I think, you put this fight together. You have ESPN talking about it. Have Fox Sports talking about it. Maybe you can get Wilder on some of these late night shows, some of these celebrity shows, whatever. I think you could really, really, if you promote this well, I think this thing could really take off. I was skeptical before, but I think if they promote it well, Showtime gets behind it, CBS gets behind it, a Vegas casino gets behind it, I think this thing could do very, very well. I really do. I think it could do better than if it was just a UK fight. I think I think it'll do better if it's fought on US soil, because I think you can get a better gate. I think you can get a sight fee along with it, and I think Showtime pay-per-view it's not out of the realm to get that 500,000 pay-per-view buys. And I think that, you know, if Showtime continues to push it, promote it, advertise it, I think this thing can take off. I really do.
Yeah. Who wins the fight?
It's like I said, I'm leaning Joshua, but it's if I was to bet the fight, I would just bet the knockout proposition. I think it's tough.
So you will bet that the fight will end up by knockout?
Yeah, just fight that. I would just bet the fight to end a knockout. Probably would get shitty odds to do it, but I'd probably still take it. But I have a feeling this fight's going to get done. I think it's going to get wrapped up. I think we may get an announcement next week. I think it's going to be in Vegas.
He's not gonna be in the UK.
No, I think it's going to be in Vegas.
Joshua said that he will never come. Like he said, no man should leave.
I'm not sure. You know, if you put 50 million on Joshua's lap, I think a lot of things that he said will probably go out to the wayside, and he'll reconsider because he was really excited about getting that 50 million. So yeah, I think.
What was going on with a Tyson Fury type of him saying about the 50 million? Tyson Fury saying that he can come up with 50 million for Joshua. And now.
What had happened was, that was it. Yeah, he was like, I want 50 million.
Yeah.
Well, if this happens,
Tyson Fury said, "Now I'll give you 50 million."
Yeah, if this happens, then this will kind of set the bar higher now for heavyweight fights. So they were saying at Tyson Fury's press conference with what's his name there? Fucking guy, the other English guy over there. I always forget his name. They call him Fish Eyes, but
not Provetkin right now.
No, the promoter over there. I always forget his name. It's Tyson Fury's promoter. But they were saying that if you know, Joshua can get 50 million for that fight, then you know, Fury could definitely get more than that if he's, you know, if he was going to fight the winner. So yeah, Frank Warren, that's the guy. I don't know why I forgot his name. I just drew a blank. I'm kind of embarrassed because I know he used to do a lot of fights with Don King back in the day. But yeah, Frank Warren also made a statement. They call him Fish Eyes. Frank Warren also made a statement that he knows Shelly Finkel. He's because Shelly Finkel's been around a while, but Eddie Hearn just totally dismissed Shelly Finkel. Shelly Finkel worked on the Vladimir Klitschko Anthony Joshua fight with Eddie Hearn. You know, he's Vladimir Klitschko's manager. He was Mike Tyson's manager. He was Evander Holyfield's manager. He's been involved in a lot of big heavyweight fights. He managed that whole 1984 Olympic boxing team. So he's no stranger to big fights, and for Eddie Hearn to just totally dismiss him. So yeah, Frank Warren said if you know, Finkel says he has the money, he has the money. He believes him, and you know, he wouldn't lie about that. So Shelly Finkel definitely has the experience, and Al Heyman definitely has the proven track record. So I think this is a legitimate
where
offer.
is Lou Davila in this negotiation?
Well, if the fight's in Vegas, I think Lou's going to be asked out here. I don't think he's even going to be involved.
No.
I don't think he's even going to be involved. I think
doesn't he represent? Doesn't he work with Deontay and his people?
Yeah, when he fights in New York, he does. Yeah, when he fights in New York, he does. I could be wrong, but I don't see Lou getting involved in this if it's not going to be in New York. I really don't. I really don't. But if this fight is in the United States, I'm almost positive it will be in a Vegas casino, and I'd be very, very surprised if it doesn't happen there. So, even though this story kind of stole the thunder away from the big fight this weekend, Danny Jacobs versus Macha Sulecki, you know, Eric was talking about this fight with me on the Ringside Reporter podcast, and a lot of people really aren't giving Sulecki a chance here. But Eric thinks this fight could be, you know,
upset.
He didn't really call it an upset, but he think it could be a lot more
better than
competitive that people are saying. But the big thing here is Sulecki does a lot of the same things that Danny Jacobs does. You know, he has a knockout victory over Hugo Centeno. He's got a knockout win over Grigoris Proska, a guy that Dimitri Pirog knocked out before he became champion. He's got some decent wins, but he doesn't have a list. He doesn't have a list of signature wins. Who's who in the sport of boxing. He's a guy that has a great jab, boxes well from the outside, moves very well. Not a huge puncher. Only has 10 knockouts, so he's not a huge puncher. He's kind of a downgraded version of Danny Jacobs without power. And Danny Jacobs is, he fights very well on the outside, but Danny Jacobs can kind of, shorten up those shots on the inside and cause some damage too. That punch that he knocked out Peter Quinlan with was a really, really short, crisp right hand. So he's a versatile guy who's very athletic, very experienced. He's very well schooled, has a great amateur background. So Danny Jacobs is a tough guy. He's a really complete fighter. And Sulecki is a good fighter too, but I can't really give him an advantage in any area here. I think that he may be able to box with Danny Jacobs, but at the end of the day, I think Danny Jacobs has the power to hurt Sulecki. My question is, can Sulecki hurt Danny Jacobs, and will Danny Jacobs be there for Sulecki's shots? Because both guys like to move around a little bit. They like to box from the outside. Both guys can counterpunch a bit. But both guys, after they land their shots, they don't stay in the same place. They're always, giving you different looks in there. They're very creative, both guys with their offense. They both work off the jab very well. But I think Jacobs is stronger. I think he's faster. I think he's physically just more athletic and gifted. And I think Jacobs will win this fight. Will he knock out Sulecki? That's a big question mark. But I think he'll have enough to win this fight. I think Jacobs has a lot of ways to win this fight. He could possibly knock out Sulecki because Sulecki's never been in there with a guy like this, a guy who can punch like this, a guy who can box like this, a guy who has the all-around game that Danny Jacobs has. So is my co-host on the Ringside Reporter right, Eric Lauder, who said that this fight could be competitive? I hope he's right. I wouldn't mind seeing a competitive matchup, but I just still have a hard time picking against Danny Jacobs in this fight. I think Danny Jacobs has a better overall game, and I think the power and the athleticism will play a factor as well tomorrow night when this fight happens.
Well, this is what I think. Yeah. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Yeah.
Danny Jacobs didn't sign this contract to lose the first fight.
Yeah.
He's not being put there with an opponent that can actually challenge him.
Yeah.
An opponent that will actually challenge Danny Jacobs will be Golovkin, and again, or will be Sanders. And again, no, will be the other guy. What's his name? The other mandatory for Golovkin?
Derevyanchenko, yeah.
Derevyanchenko.
Yeah. Someone
like that will present a challenger. But this is only to groom Jacob in. This is only to groom him back into the game. Yeah. This is not this fight. It's gonna be entertaining. Oh yeah, and this guy's doing better than what we think until the guy get knocked down. I think Jacob is gonna put a show.
Yeah.
To make a statement to get the bigger fight. Like he didn't sign this contract to lose the very first fight of the contract.
Well, it's not the first. It's the second fight.
The second fight because he fought the other guy, the other Spanish guy.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna lose.
Arias there.
Yes,
Arias.
He's not gonna.
The Cuban guy. Yeah.
Yes, the Cuban guy. He's not gonna lose this fight to an opponent that is weaker than his last opponent. I mean, I don't see it. I mean, that's what I think. I think Jacob is gonna go there, and he's gonna try to send a statement.
So, so that's the big question. Do you think this will be kind of an uneventful win for Jacobs, like the Arias fight was, or will he go in there trying to make a statement? Will he take some risks in there? Will he be a little bit more aggressive? Will he make a concerted effort to go for the knockout here because he wants to look better than he looked like in his last fight? And if he does do that, will it hurt him?
Jacob is looking for the big fight. Jacob wants the big name. Jacob want to fight Canelo. Jacob want to fight Golovkin. Jacob wants to fight the bigger name in the game. And in order to do that, you have to put outstanding performance.
Yeah.
Every single time. And I don't think Jacob is going to be conservative unless that guy make him.
Yeah. That's a good point.
I just don't see it.
What do you think of the undercard matchup here between Gerald Miller and Joan Duhaupas?
I think it's going to be a very competitive fight. I think both fighters still have a lot to prove in the game. And I don't think I've been having a hard time picking a winner. I'm not gonna side with Wapes, but the fight could go. mm, it is a tough one to pick for me.
Yeah, I like Miller here, but the big question is, how's he going to do it? Is he going to kind of have an uneventful fight like he had against Maurice Wack before Maurice Wack hurt his hand and basically couldn't continue, or will Jarrell Miller just take it right to Duhaupas? Because we saw Duhaupas give Wilder a lot of problems. Duhaupas is kind of a guy that can get defensive, can shell up a little bit, can go into survival mode, and that could make for a dull fight for Miller. So, how's he going to handle that if the fight plays out that way? Will he sit back, or will he try to, open up some power shots? Will he just be content on picking and pecking away from the outside? That's the big question here. I think Gerald Miller should do enough to win here, but will he make a statement like we're asking if Jamie Jacobs will make a statement as well? Both of these guys are favored to win, Jamie Jacobs and Jarrell Miller, but will they try to win impressively and in exciting and emphatic fashion? That's the big question here. I think this fight has the potential
to be an upset. This one,
no, I don't think it's to be upset. It has the I don't think so, but that's just my opinion. I think it has the potential to possibly be a stinker, and that's something Jarrell Miller does not need in his journey to campaign for a title shot against either Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua. So hopefully I'm wrong, and hopefully both guys make for an exciting fight, win, lose, or draw, and we get a good card. But I'm a little bit pessimistic on that based on the two matchups. I think both matchups have the potential to not be, memorable fights in my opinion. But hopefully I'm wrong.
Because I mean the only reason I think is like Duapes has been there with tough opposition. So I mean I think when his opponent is not as tough as the other one, that will give him the advantage. So that's why I was siding a little bit more when to pull the upset.
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just we can disagree. It's okay. Yeah. I've seen Duapes and I think he has a way of shelling up sometimes and kind of slowing the fight down and going into survival mode. It's going to be hard to give a guy rounds like that, so he can kind of dull the thing up. Canelo Alvarez, they gave him a hair test. The infamous hair test, the test that everyone was saying that can detect PED use for a month or 2 months prior. I think people are saying a month. They're saying it's accurate up into a month. Some people are saying 2 months. Most people are saying up to a month. They're looking at this as a way of vindication for Canelo. Canelo passed the hair test, but how far and how reliable is this hair test? Can it go back 2 months because he failed the test on February 17th? So now he's taking a test on almost the end of April here. What are we at? April 26th here, right? 27th, actually. We're in April 27th, so pretty much over 2 months later, right? 2.5 months later. So he passed the test, and the previous tests that he failed were about 2.5 months later. So you have to ask yourself, can this test go back that far? And how accurate is this test? I don't know. Should this clear him? Should we not be skeptical anymore moving forward? I'm going to still be skeptical because the hair test was taken almost around 2.5 months later. Is it going to be accurate? Is it going to be able to detect trace amounts from 2.5 months ago? I question whether or not it would be, but at least he did take the hair test. And moving forward now, if they test the hell out of him, and if hair testing is included in the protocol, then he passes the test, and it is what it is. We're not going to absolve him for what he did in the past, but we'll give him a clean slate moving forward, and as long as he's being tested properly. big question is what would have happened if the hair test was done,
Daring.
close to the time those blood and urine tests were done. So I don't know. Boxing Life is saying that the test was done on March 31st, wasn't it? I don't know. I don't remember reading that. I just remember reading I'll have to double check. You could be right. If you could provide information to show me that, then I'd appreciate it. I don't know. It wasn't. If it was done March 31st, and once again, why are we hearing about the hair test now? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I'll find it out, and then if I have to correct myself, then I will definitely correct myself. I have no problem doing that. But at the end of the day, he did take the hair test. That's a step in the right direction. But the thing is now will he be included in the WBC VADA clean boxing program? Will he be tested consistently and often? And if that's the case, then yeah, okay. But if that doesn't get done and he just takes his hair test and expects everyone to kind of like be like, all right, hey, you're all set. I don't think that it should be done that way. I think he should really be involved in that VADA clean boxing program, and I think he should be tested very stringently moving forward. And if I was a fighter, I would expect that to be done to him for me to feel good about getting in the ring with him, right? It's fair enough, right? Anything else? I mean, I think we covered just about everything we wanted to cover. You want to bring anything else to the table? Anything else you want to talk about?
Well,
anything you want to follow up on that possibly we talked about earlier that you didn't get to say? Or
well, I mean, I know that Josecito Lopez is back and it's been a big thing on Premier Boxing. I mean, I don't know if
is that fight tonight or is that tomorrow?
That fight tomorrow, I believe.
Oh, okay. Is that on Fox?
Premier Boxing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Let's take a look at
that.
It's not an interest. I mean, it's not an interesting.
He's not going to be in there with a world beater, right? Let me see.
Yeah. He's not going to be in there.
It's kind of like a tune-up fight for him.
It's kind of like a tune-up fight from him, but he usually the guy that gets to be put at. He usually the guy that gets to be put in that to challenge the other guy.
Yeah, he's usually the. Miguel Cruz, and he's undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah, undefeated, 17-0. So should be an interesting matchup. Definitely, Josecito Lopez has that style where he comes to fight. Yeah, this guy's got 11 KOs.
Yeah, he
doesn't have any really big names on his record, but it'll be an interesting matchup. We'll see. I'll watch it. All right, guys. Till next week. This is Beeb and Cisco the Realest, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a nice day, everyone. Peace out.